Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this channel provides free training on cloud and DevOps tools with practical examples. So in this today's video, we are going to learn about Terraform variables, how they work and how we use them in the real infrastructure projects. So let's talk about today's topic. Earlier I told you variables. So this is the day 12 session and Terraform variables. So what is this variables in the Terraform? So let's talk about a few points about the theory, then we'll jump into the practical. So first, let's understand what is variable in the Terraform. A variable in Terraform like a placeholder for a value. So instead of hard coding values inside our infrastructure code, we store them in the variables. This makes our configuration reusable and flexible. So the first point is, so here the second point is, so here and the third point. Okay, I can say that for example, so for example, instead of writing a instance count equals to 2 in many places, we can define in the variables and reuse that variable wherever we need it. Okay. Just think about variable like a container. Okay. And the variable name is a container and the value is that what we store inside the containers. This is what variables. So now let's jump into that basic variable examples. So now let's see that simple example. First, we create a file called variables.tf. This file is used to define our Terraform variables. Inside the file, we are going to define the instance type, everything. Okay, before that, let's go to that uh, AWS console. Let's go to EC2. Let's start our Terraform server. This will take 1 or 2 minutes. Let's log into that server. Let's open the Terraform folder. Let's delete everything. Let's open the Visual Studio Code here. Now we are going to create a file called variables.tf file, and the other one we will simply call it as a main.tf. So in the variables, what I'm going to write it down. Okay. So before that, let's go to the main.tf, and here is a simple, easy to creation Terraform code. Okay. So you can write it down manually from, you need to start from the resource and AWS instance you are going to create it. This is for local reference web. Okay. And AMI name I mentioned and instance type I'm going to use it where that instance type. So we don't want it to type it hard coded here. The same way AMI also. That is why we are going to use it variables.tf. Okay. Now let's write it down. So how do we start it? Variables. So if you just type it, automatically it will come variable. Okay. Then you can type it instance type. Just use the tab button. Okay. Then come down below. Just type it description. So in the description, you can type it EC2 instance type. Just hit enter. Okay. Then we can type it type. Just use tab button and it will show us what is the one you are going to use it. Okay. I'm going to use it a string here. Then just hit enter. Below it will come, just type it default. So default, I'm going to type it T2 dot micro. So, so here is a simple or basic variable example here I've given it. Okay. So if you go back to the main.tf files, okay, what we are trying to do, we are getting the values from variables.tf. Okay. So where that instance type we are getting from the variables. Okay. So first three letter you can take it as a variable, and again instance type you need to mention, take it. So if you type it, so automatically here the values it is going to fetch it out. Okay. What is the default value here we have mentioned? T2 micro. So our EC2 machine, it is going to be created T2 micro only. Okay, let's test it out how it is works. Terraform init. Sorry, Terraform. So let it initialize it. So in the meantime, what we can discuss. So I'm going to explain it, okay, with the variables.tf file. Okay. So whatever there is a variable instance type. Okay. So this we call it as a declare the variables. Okay. And type whatever we are using a type right here, the string. So string, it should be a, must be a string. Okay. And third one is default. This is optional for the fileback value. And here, so how your reference variables. Okay. This is your, looks like your variables file. So here we need to mention the string and default value. So without default value, how we can able to do it, I will talk about later. Okay. With the default value, so this is a simple one. I'm going to talk about in-depth different variables later part. Then let's come to here. I think initialization is completed. Let's apply it. Let's go back to AWS console. Let's make it as. So once we created it, enter S. So this is going to be create the EC2 machine. Okay, if you're able to see it, our basic variable example we are given for T2 micro. So this is going to be executed. Now let's Terraform. Just I don't want EC2 machine. I'm going to just delete it. Next, we'll talk about variable without without default required variables. Okay. So what I'm trying to do, so we don't want variables. I mean, the default one we don't require. How do we use it? Okay. For example, I'm going to take it one example for the region. Okay. So how to use it? So right now, if you're able to see it, I'm using only type and description. Okay. I'm not using default because I don't want. So how this variable, okay, how it will work? Let's see it. So now, whenever you ask for Terraform apply, okay, if you are not mentioned any default value, this is going to be ask you the values, okay. Then only next steps it is going to be executed. That it delete. I think it is taking some time because we have created and deleted, right? So it takes some time to delete it. Let's go and verify it in the AWS console. Yeah, it is terminated. Now it should be, yeah. Let's clear it. So now we talk about one type, right? Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the variables here. So here, if you're able to see it, I'm not going to add any default value. Terraform apply. So it is going to be asked the variable way. Okay. So I'm going to mention it US East 1. Okay. So this is a region I wanted to create it. Okay. Just hit enter, it will take it. So this is a one type of variable. Okay. If you make it S, this is going to be create the resource. Okay. Now I don't want. Okay. I'm going to show you one more type of variables. Without, it will not ask any time this time because I'm going to pass it in the command line only. So if you're able to see it, Terraform, let me remove this. Terraform apply and variable and the region I'm going to mention it. So right now I'm going to give it US East 2. Okay. It will ask for yes or no. I mean, do you want me to create it or not? Yes or no? Let's say it. If you type it as, it is going to be created in the different region. Let's go to US East to check that. Maybe still it is creating. It's created. I think it is running on the year only. So why? Because we are given the instance, the AMI for the same region only it is taking. Okay, that is also can able to do it. Otherwise, so now you are using US is 2, right? You can make it 1 so that the same region it will create it. So now if I wanted to delete it, same thing, destroy. So now let's go and type it here. This should be deleted now. See, it is shutting down status. That means it is destroying. Next, I'm going to talk about using variables file. Using Terraform.tfr files, not variables. So I'm going to use it different type of variables. So now what we are going to do? So till now we talk about variables.tf, right? So now we are going to create a one more file called terraform.tfvars. So where this is coming, how do we use it? Let me show it to you. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to write it down, instance type T3 micron, okay, and US east 1, okay. So this is a two things I mentioned, and variables also, it is the same thing, instance type and year. So you can take it any of the example, but as of now for testing, I'm using year. Now, so now I don't want it to year default. Okay, let's review it. Because it should be fetch the data from the my Terraform TFRs. Okay, if you mention the default, this is automatically take it from your variables, right? Okay, if you are mentioned, if you are not mentioned, automatically it will go to this Terraform TFRs file and it will fetch it. Okay, now both the things we need to verify it without string value should be there. Okay, in the variables. Then this variable file, it will go and it will fetch it. Okay. So here the correct name should be there and our main dot file also it should be same here. Okay. Whatever it is mentioned. Now let's apply it. I'm going to just type it Terraform. Okay. I'm not mentioning any, I'm not passing any variables here. See, it is not asking anything because it is fetching from the terraform.tfr files. So let it create it. In the meantime, let's talk about different variable types. So how many types of are there? Okay, now we talk about already string, right? So here string, okay, the type called string. This is a one type of variables. The other one is number. So these variables you should know how do we use it. So if you are using a number, always use this kind of variables. And next one is Boolean. And the last one is list. Okay, so list, how do we use this list? We'll talk about later. And if you want, I'll give you the one of the example for the list. So you can able to use it in the availability zone. Okay, while you are using any private subnet, any EC2 machine should be created on particular availability zone. Then you can able to use this list option. Okay, so now we talk about a string, right? Okay, different variable types, everything. Now we'll go for the map variables type. Okay, before that, if you want, just go to AWS console, just check it out. Is it up and running or not? Yeah, it is initializing. Then Terraform, desktop. One. And I'm using the AMI for US East one only. Sometime it should be, if you are using a different availabilities or different region, you should get error. But this time we are not getting an error, but it is still creating because by default our state file it is having a US East one. Okay, maybe that is the reason. When we initialized it, without reason we have initiated, right? So by default it is taking US East one only. Let's clear it. So make sure that in the live environment you should create the required versions, required provider details like Terraform versions and AWS version in the provider.blog. I think last session I told you how do we create these blogs, AWS, everything. Okay. Now let's move on to map variables. So what is this map in the Terraform? So map in the Terraform is a key value data structure used to store related to values and access them using the keys. So for here, I'm going to show you one more example here. So now what I'm going to do, let's go to that main. So let me go to here, variable. I'm going to use it variable here. Let's remove everything. I'm going to use it map variable example. So if you're able to see it, I'm going to use it map here. Okay. So type and map here it is showing and default value. I'm going to use it. Two keys should be created when the instance is created. Okay. Now, how do we add it in the main.tf? Okay. So now let me add one more steps called tags. Just type it tags. So here I'm going to use it where that instance tags. So from where we are fetching? We are fetching from the variables.tf. Now I don't want this here. Let me delete it for temporary. Okay. So this tags it is fetching from the variables only. So now still why it is showing main dot? Because we should pass we need to hard code it. Again, we can add in the variables also, but I'm not going to do it now. T2. Like, now Terraform. Apply. We'll go and we'll verify that this variable stat tf whatever we have mentioned environment dev owner admin, are you able to see it or not? Let's go to AWS console, select the EC2 machine. Let's select it. Go to tag section. So are you able to see it? The tags are created. So now same thing, just destroy it. So this is how we can able to use the map. let it destroy the EC2 instance. Now let's move on to object type. So what is this object type? So object in the Terraform is a structured group of the attributes where each attribute has a specific type. Okay. So think of it like a record structured configurations. Okay. Then we are going to use here is an example for the quick type. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use it object here. Under that, I'm going to mention the string. So instance type, it should be a string. It should going to be default and number. What is the number? I'm going to use it number 20 GB. Disk shared should be there, or I can make it as a 50 GB. So let's see that these two variables are we able to see it or not. Okay. Let's copy it, go to here and just change it in the variables file only and go to main.tf. So from here, just remove the tag section. I don't want tags. Okay. So I'm going to use it variables here. So how I have mentioned here. So you need to take it first two letter as a variable. Server config, same thing. If you go to here, where that server config and instance type. Okay. So object you have taken it instance type. Now, if you need volume also, that is also you can take it. Not a problem. Let's see it. Make it as let's go to AWS console. Again, refresh the value. Sorry, the instance type. So it is initializing. Storage. So if you're able to see it, the storage, it is taking only it. Okay. By default, it is taken only instance type like a t2.micro. Okay. So now let me go back to main dot. Are you able to see it? Only instance type it is taken. Okay. If you need volume size also, you can add it. That is also fine. Just add the volume size also. Both you can able to add it. Now Terraform tester. So the last one is let it destroy it. Yes. Variable validations. So this is very important in the real project. The validation is mandatory. So let's talk about what is this variable validation in the Terraform, right? So validation ensures users only provide allowed values for the variable. It is a very common in real infrastructure project to prevent the mistakes. Okay. So while creating any infrastructure, this is going to be prevent the whatever you have done the mistakes. So for that, we have an example here. Let me go back to here. I'm going to just directly add it here the variables. So if you're able to see it, I'm going to use it variables, instance type, and string. I'm going to use it in the validation. I'm going to condition. Under the condition, So this is going to be ask you that what is the instance type. Okay. These details we need to mention. If you mention these are all the T2 micro, T3, only those instance it is going to be created. Okay. Now let me come to main.tf. So I'm going to remove it. I'm going to add it. So here I'm just using the variable dot instance type. Okay. So here is. So I'm fetching from the here variable instance type. So let's first what we can do, Terraform apply. If you hit enter, so it is going to be ask you the value, right? So we need to mention it t2.micro, t3.micro. Okay. If I'm not mentioned other than, for example, I'm going to add it t3.arch. Okay. So let's see that what is the output we are getting. See, you are getting a invalid value variables. Okay, it should be an only T2 and T3. So we can mention it. Let me hit enter. This will take the values because we are already mentioned in the under the variables file. If anybody given the wrong values, okay, so that is going to be shows the error. Okay, that is what we have seen it. Right. So let's go to here. See T3 micro, it is created. Now let's go on destroy it. So in this video, we learned what Terraform variables are, why variables are important, how to define and use variables, define variables like a string, number, boolean, and list, and map and object variables, and finally variable validations. So Terraform variables are extremely important because they make your infrastructure code reusable, flexible, and production ready. So if you found this video helpful, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more cloud and DevOps. See you in the next video.